All right, so you've seen entry one of my e-portfolio about multiliteracies. Okay, we've discussed a little bit about the statistics for how much technology is being used in Canada and how it's affecting society nowadays. We've talked about what is multiliteracy? What are the multiliteracies? What does it mean? And what does it mean for the teacher and the students in a classroom setting? Why is it important to know about? Okay, we looked at Bill Cope and Mary Calancis. We looked at their information, their research to guide us about learning why these things are important. Why is creating a kind person, an active designer, someone who's creating new meanings through all these new technologies and these different mediums, why is this important in our classrooms and in our societies? So why should we teach our students? So they talked a little bit about this, right? We discussed how to implement some of these multiliteracies into the classroom. Showed you that nice colorful diagram, right? And then the three components of digital literacy. So digital literacy in particular, right? We talked about digital citizenship, digital creativity, and digital competitiveness. So we discussed these three things and how to put these into practice in the classroom for the students. Okay. We also discussed those 8 different strategies, not strategies, those different technological skills that the students need to develop. And if you can teach these in the classroom, then you know that you have that checklist almost for the students that they could say, yep, I am digitally literate, right? We talked about critical literacy. You had that video by Alan Luke, very, very informative. I love it. I'd show this to my students in a classroom setting just so that they could understand. I think he's very well spoken. So we understand why it's important and not just something that is being forced upon them in class. How this will help them engage with all the information being thrown at them from all these different directions, right? With the news and different media platforms and Instagram and social media. So being able to look at things critically, very, very important. So critical literacy, we talked about that as well. So how to incorporate all this into your classroom is kind of one of the practical things that we've discussed throughout my portfolio so far. But right here, I'm going to discuss a little bit about my self-reflection. So what I've learned in the process. This is a key component in improving one's pedagogy. So for any teachers out there, you have to practice self-reflection. So after looking at all this research and the different mediums of learning these things, these multimodal ways of learning about multiliteracy, I think for me, aside from the practical, the different strategies and techniques of how to implement these things into the classroom, I think the big thing that I've learned is the why. So answering why is studying multiliteracies important? Why is it important for me as a teacher? Well, if you were to ask me that question, I think I would say that because of how society is now structuring itself and the direction that we are going, moving forward, technology is everywhere. And when you used to live in, a smaller network with who you spoke face to face, or a phone call, or maybe even through the TV, you had that one-way direction. But those connections were your network. And now we live in a society, in a world, a globalized world, where the network is vast and just, it's insane and amazing how many different connections you can make and forge at the touch of a button. So you have all these different forms of information. The problem is no longer, can we get the right information? It's what to do with it all. Okay, we have a mass overload of information that has occurred in the last 50 years or so. And we have the internet producing all of this stuff. So we can really see and find anything we possibly want. Okay, so students are facing this, but so are teachers. So for me as a teacher, it's my job to be able to practice some of these things and be able to sift through all this information so that I could provide stuff for my students, right? The right kind of knowledge, the right kind of information and sources. So that critical literacy, okay, and that digital literacy is important for me as a teacher, bringing those resources forward. But that same skill that I need to learn and improve as I go on, the more and more technology that's affordable, that's usable in this day and age, my students need to be able to learn how to do the same thing. So we talk about, that knowledge in the curriculum and the content, but those skills, those learning skills that they need to know, that's where I think that the why, learning how to explain that myself and being able to teach the students why this is so important for them to learn is a huge lesson. One of those skills that they need to develop to not only succeed in academia, in the realm of school, to do well, get good grades, but it's going to help those that go to college or university, and it's going to help them just live their lives. Looking at, whether it be news articles or advertisements in the world, they're going to have to be able to analyze things critically. They need to know what's reliable, what's not reliable. And they got to just be able to think. I didn't talk much about critical thinking. I focused more so on critical literacy. But there are some similarities, and it's very important for them to be able to navigate all those challenges when it comes to reading and understanding all that information coming their way. So I think that's the big why question that I've been able to answer so far. And I'm still going to learn a lot more about it, and I'm still got lots of research to do. This is only my first entry in this portfolio. We're still going to go a long ways, right? So that's my reflection for this portion. Thanks for watching and enjoying some of the information I provided. I hope you learned a little bit something here, and we'll see you next time.